in this facet of the legal of the criminal justice system. Resentencing is it as easy as people tend to think based upon the news items right now?
Well, there's been a recent flurry of activity regarding certain sentences, certain types of charges.
You mentioned it. The drugs have changed significantly.
The drugs is one, but there's actually the big resentencing formula that has changed in California is in regards to the murder charges.
The felony murder rule.
What's that?
The felony murder rule?
There's a felony murder rule, but there's been some other changes about when a person can be convicted of murder. It used to be very easy for the prosecution to say anybody who was involved in an activity where somebody died at the end of that activity and the person was involved, a lookout a driver, somebody who was just along for the ride, etc., they could be charged with murder as co-conspirators, as aider and abettors. But the legislation has recently changed it and made it a much more refined process where the person has to be a little bit more mentally aware of what was occurring and what the intent of all the players were before they could be charged with that murder. Now, previously, that wasn't in play. So what's happening is anybody who's doing these long sentences, convicted of a murder sometime back in the day, gang affiliation or anything along those lines, they are now doing motions to resentence themselves, come back, getting resentenced, and the charges are either being adapted to the new legislation or dismissed in their entirety. So that's a lot of the resentencing that I'm seeing. Some of the stuff that is occurring, if we're talking about the Menendez brother, things along those lines,
Right.
Those are a little bit of a different resentencing. It sounds to me like what's happening in the Menendez brothers is because there was a second trial in the Menendez brothers wherein a bulk of their evidence regarding the abuse that occurred to them while they were children, which what precipitated the murder of their parents or the killing of their parents, was kept out of that second trial. The first trial
Right.
hung when that evidence was admitted. The second trial, which was right after the OJ trial, and there was a lot of political climate about these high-profile cases and people being released and being found not guilty. The judge in that case decided to exclude all of the information about the abuse that had occurred beforehand, which in retrospect seems illogical and against the concept of justice. So I do think that because it's been brought into the zeitgeist of the community now and people are aware of some of the in and outs of that case and the interest it's taken now that we have a second look at this and we're looking at it from a little bit of the 2020 vision and having some time to understand that there are a lot of males that are abused sexually and physically and that it's not just isolated to children, girls. That this acknowledgement of this abuse to young men should have been admitted. And had it been admitted, really what should the appropriate charge have been? Probably it would have been voluntary manslaughter, heat of passion as a defense at the worst. Self-defense would have been a complete defense under the circumstances. But so if that evidence had been allowed in and the new basic understanding of how victims are impacted and who are victims of certain crimes because of the new contemporary understanding, that I think that this is what is going into play in regards to the possibility of resentencing
For Menendez
brothers.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a change of regime in the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, and the new Los Angeles District Attorney is a little bit more hardcore. It doesn't have quite, I'm just going to call it the heart. Maybe some people call it the weakness. But really the lack of the empathy in regards to defendants. The new regime is a little bit lacking on that empathy.